If you've driven anywhere in the UK in the last few weeks, there's a fair chance you've already broken a rule you didn't even know existed. The DVLA and DVSA have quietly pushed through a wave of changes that are now active on British roads, and one of them could land you with points, fines, or even a revoked license if you're a newer driver. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what's changed, what's still just a proposal, and how to make sure tonight's drive doesn't end with a letter from the DVLA landing on your doormat. Let's start with the headline issue, because this is the one catching the most people off guard right now. The DVLA has confirmed a tougher enforcement crackdown that's already in motion. This isn't a rumor or a coming soon announcement, it's active. The agency has been clear that any vehicle kept or used on a public road has to be taxed unless it's been formally declared off the road with a SORN. If you forget, or you let it slide because you've been busy, you're looking at an £80 fine, which drops to £40 if you pay within 33 days. Ignore that, and the DVLA doesn't just write it off. They can pass the debt straight to a collection agency, and if it ends up in court, fines can climb as high as £1,000 for unpaid vehicle tax. That's a brutal jump from a missed reminder to a four-figure penalty, and it's happening to ordinary drivers who simply lost track of their renewal date. It doesn't stop at tax. If you've sold a car, changed your name, or moved house and forgotten to update your keeper details with the DVLA, that's now a £55 fine, reduced to £35 if you act quickly. But again, ignore it, and it can escalate all the way to £1,000 once the case reaches court. And here's the one that really catches people out: driving without insurance. Continuous insurance enforcement means the DVLA can fine the registered keeper of an uninsured vehicle even if nobody actually drove it that day. First, you get a warning letter. Ignore that. And you're looking at a £100 fine, or £50 if you pay promptly. For drivers with foreign registered vehicles who haven't met UK requirements, the DVLA has gone further, warning that non-compliant vehicles risk being clamped, removed, or in the most serious cases, destroyed. So why does this matter for the 6 points everyone's talking about? Here's the connection most videos on this topic are missing. If you passed your test within the last 2 years, you are classed as a new driver under DVLA rules, and that status comes with a much stricter version of the points system. For an experienced driver, the rule is simple. Hit 12 points within 3 years and you face a mandatory ban. But for a new driver, the threshold isn't 12. It's 6. If you pick up 6 or more penalty points within 2 years of passing your test, your license is automatically revoked, no court discretion involved, and critically, it doesn't matter if those 6 points come from one single offense or from 3 separate small ones. A single careless driving conviction, a phone while driving offense, or even a string of smaller infractions stacked together can trigger it instantly. Now picture how easily that happens in the current climate. You're a new driver. You forgot your insurance renewed automatically, and there's a gap you didn't notice. That's potentially points and a fine. You're rushing somewhere and get caught using your phone at a junction. That's 6 points on its own under current rules. Add a speeding ticket from a camera you didn't even see flash, and you've gone from a clean license to having to retake your theory and practical test from scratch, with no driving in between. That's the real danger people are searching for tonight. It's not one mysterious new rule lurking in the small print. It's the combination of intensified enforcement plus a points threshold that's brutally low for anyone who passed their test recently. Let's talk about what else has genuinely changed and is now live, because there's more than just the enforcement crackdown. From the start of this year, the driving theory test itself was updated. The DVSA added expanded first aid content, including new questions on CPR and the use of defibrillators. The idea is to improve survival rates after roadside collisions, and importantly, the cost and overall length of the test haven't changed, just the content. If you're studying for your test right now, that's something to be aware of because it's catching some learners off guard in mock exams. Then there's a change rolling out from spring this year that affects how learner drivers book their practical test. Under the new system, only the learner can book their own test slot. Driving instructors can no longer book it on a pupil's behalf. On top of that, you're now limited to changing your test appointment twice. Make a third change and your booking gets canceled, meaning you'll need to rebook from scratch, and you'll only get a full refund if you give 10 full working days notice. The DVSA's reasoning here is to stop block booking and stamp out the resale of test slots, which had become a real problem with some people effectively scalping driving test appointments. If you've got a test booked through your instructor under the old system, it's worth double-checking how that booking is now being managed. If you're driving in or around London, there's also a cost change that's already hit your wallet. The congestion charge rose from £15 to £18 per day at the start of January this year. If you don't pay by midnight, 3 days after driving in the zone, that penalty jumps to £21. There's also a new tier discount system for electric vehicles registered with AutoPay, replacing the old cleaner vehicle discount scheme, rolling out in phases through the year. If you're an EV driver in London, it's worth checking which phase you currently qualify for because the discount percentages have shifted more than once already. Now here's where I want to be straight with you, because a lot of channels are blurring the line between what's confirmed and what's just been proposed, and that's where misinformation creeps in. The government has a road safety strategy in the works, and several headline-grabbing changes you might have seen elsewhere are part of that proposal, not yet law. One of the most talked about is a plan to strengthen seatbelt penalties. Right now, not wearing a seatbelt is a fixed penalty offense with a fine. The proposal on the table would raise that fine to as much as £500 and add 3 penalty points to your license for the first time. It hasn't passed into law yet, but if it does, that's a significant shift, especially combined with the 6-point new driver threshold we just talked about. 3 points from a seatbelt offense plus a couple of minor infractions could be enough to revoke a new driver's license entirely. Similarly, there's discussion around lowering the drink driving limit in England and Wales from 80 milligrams per 100 milliliters of blood down to 50, which would bring it in line with the lower limit that's already been enforced in Scotland for years. Again, this is part of the broader strategy discussion and hasn't been confirmed as law yet, so don't let anyone tell you it's already active, because it isn't. One change that is locked in and confirmed, even though it's a little further out, is the move to Euro 7 emission standards. From the 29th of November this year, all new cars and vans sold in the UK will need to meet these tighter standards, which don't just limit exhaust emissions, but also pollution from brakes and tires. If you're planning to buy a new vehicle later this year, that date is worth keeping in mind because manufacturers are already adjusting their lineups ahead of it. There's also been a tightening around number plates that's worth a mention because it ties back into points indirectly. Non-compliant number plates, things like the wrong font, incorrect background color, or anything obscuring the plate can now result in fines up to £1,000 and an automatic MOT failure. Right now, there are no penalty points attached to that specific offense, but the road safety strategy proposes changing that too, potentially adding points on top of the fine in future, alongside new powers letting enforcement seize non-compliant vehicles. Police are also increasingly using ANPR camera systems and even AI-based detection to catch plates that look fine to the human eye, but technically breach the spacing and reflectivity rules. If your plate isn't from a DVLA registered supplier, it's worth getting it checked. So pulling all of this together, here's what actually matters for tonight. If you're getting in your car, if you're within your first 2 years of passing your test, the 6-point threshold is real, it's active, and it's far easier to hit than most new drivers realize, especially when you stack a phone offense, a speeding ticket, or even an avoidable insurance lapse on top of each other. The DVLA's enforcement crackdown on tax, insurance, and registration is genuinely live right now, with real fines that escalate fast if ignored. The seatbelt points and drink drive limit changes are proposals, not law, so don't panic about those just yet, but keep an eye on them because they could move quickly. And if you're a learner, the way you book and manage your practical test has already changed, so check with your instructor if you're not certain which system applies to your booking. The most important thing you can do tonight before you even start the engine takes 30 seconds. Check that your tax is current, confirm your insurance hasn't lapsed without you noticing, and if you're a new driver, be honest with yourself about how close you might already be to that 6-point line. It's not designed to scare you, it's designed to make sure one bad evening doesn't cost you a license you worked hard to earn. If this video helped clear up what's actually happening versus what's just internet noise, that's exactly what this channel is here for. Cutting through the confusion around UK driving law so you're never caught out by a rule you didn't know existed. If you found this useful, hit subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next update the moment something else changes. Because with the road safety strategy still being finalized, this almost certainly won't be the last shift this year. Thanks for watching, drive safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe to my channel.